Hola. Buenos dias. Okay, when do we put um, the wine? Good morning. Yep, they don't even say anything about it. Good morning, good morning. I was kind of reviewing. I'm doing chicken francaise today. I was gonna make a gumbo, a seafood gumbo. That's what I felt like I wanted to do. Good morning, Adrietta. Happy Mother's Day. Oh my God, yes. I guess my dish is for all the mothers today. I forgot all about that. Oh, happy Mother's Day. So, I changed my mind about the gumbo because, seafood gumbo. Of course, I wasn't going to make regular gumbo because sausage and stuff, nah, no bueno. So I was going to do shrimp, some crab. Crabs are not plentiful here. Sometimes if you find some blue crab, they kind of look sad and old. It's like, no bueno. But they do have some dangerous crabs, the big ones, the legs and stuff. You could buy some of that, but that wouldn't really go well in a gumbo. And of course, I was going to put some corvina, the sea bass, because it is thick and it can hold itself inside a gumbo. But this week, I went to an event and I ended up spending a lot more money than I needed to. So it's like, you got to kind of come back and look at your budget. So I was like, nope, can't do this week. And so I had to regroup and say, what else can I do? So today we're gonna make Happy Mother's Day, Greta. The drone is behind you, good. So today we're gonna make chicken francaise. So of course I had to go into my fridge and see what do I have. I know not many of you are gonna be here. Oh, you roasted your sea bass, very good, because of Mother's Day. So not too many of you are gonna be on, that's okay. Here in Panama, we don't celebrate Mother's Day today. Now, people who are from other countries, the expats, yes, they celebrate. And some restaurants have like a buffet, but it's not like the madness that you know in the States. We celebrate Mother's Day on December 8th. And I think the story is one president's wife decided to change it to that date because it is to celebrate some saint somebody. So she thought it would be a good idea to celebrate Mother's Day on December 8th, which is my oldest son's birthday. So in SWRA, in our group, we decided to celebrate with the Panamanians, right? Because that is Panamanian Mother's Day on December 8th. All right, so because it's Mother's Day, I don't want to keep you guys too much. I was saying I just bought a fast charger, and I was like, why didn't I do that a long time ago? This little thing is really cool. It just, charges your phone. So whenever I leave the house, I always have that because like most of you, sometimes you go out and your battery, your phone runs out of charge. So we don't have that. So I'm making some stock. Of course, here in my kitchen, I usually make veggie broth. I don't use chicken. But in the cookbook that I'm working on, we're gonna have veggie broth, chicken broth, beef broth, and the fish broth, which we call fumet. So you're gonna have you're gonna have those recipes. So we're gonna make chicken francaise. This is, I got the recipe. I don't even know that's how the French cook their chicken. But thank you, Chef Brooklyn. Happy Mother's Day. So we're gonna make a chicken. I had bought like 3 chicken breasts because I don't really eat chicken meat all the time, but I like to have something in the freezer just in case I run out of things to eat, which happens frequently. So I have 2 beautiful chicken breasts here that I got at the meat market. We're gonna butterfly these 2, and then we're gonna make a flour mix and then an egg wash, right? But of course it's French, it's gonna be elevated a little bit. So, and with that, I'm thinking, what else can I cook with that chicken? Yes, I thought about mashed potatoes, which is not something I do on the regular because potatoes is starch and then you have to put some cream and stuff in it, and we're like, I'm like, no. So I have a zucchini and a yellow squash. Look at the yellow squash here. Look at the color. This is not like what you used to, right? Because we don't have it in that color. That's the way they are here in Panama. And I had bought a few, and I have these 2 left, so I think I'm gonna find a way to cook these on the stove as part of what I'm trying to come up with. And I told you I've decided to do what I call layering. I'm gonna be doing layering, which means my food is gonna be this, to give me the elevation. So I told you also about the place that I found that delivers here. And I tell all the sisters, in fact, yesterday during my Spanish class, I gave the number to one of my sisters because we don't want to carry around, watermelon, papaya. This is heavy, we don't want to do that. They will deliver it to your building. So we're all getting signed up for this. So I had ordered 2 pounds of squash, which I absolutely love yellow squash here. Not that squash, this squash. Calabaza squash, right? And they also have, what's the other squash that people like in the US? Butternut. They have butternut squash as well. But I like this kind better. I don't like butternut squash. In fact, I made a soup and I was like, okay, 1. I tried it, no mess. But they sent me a whole one, and I like to buy my squash a piece at a time because I want to see the color inside. So I was skeptical. I cut in this thing yesterday. Look, that's what I want. That deep orange, buttery, yeah. So I'm good. Now, I roasted a little bit the other day, and oh, so good, and they cook so fast. So I'm thinking I'm going to make a squash puree. I'm going to do 2 dishes. I'm going to do a squash puree, and then I'm going to put the meat, and then I'm going to layer on top. Now, I forgot to put my beets in the oven. I put it in there like maybe 15 minutes ago, and I should have put it in earlier because I'm hoping to be able to make a beet salad, right? So that's in the works. And I do have, of course, I'm going to look in the fridge and see, what do I have? What can I use? And I have some spinach. Not the spinach you used to. Remember, we have the big stem and it's kind of hard here. So we have that. Okay. So what we need to start doing right now is preparing our chicken, and of course, season the chicken, make the batter, and then get ready to cook that chicken. But before, I don't want the chicken to be cooked before everything else. Remember, what cooking is everything. You got to look at the timing. This is not going to take too time, like 10 minutes, the squash is going to be gone. Good. I'm going to cook the squash 2 ways. I'm going to do a puree, and then I'm going to do some wedges and be able to do a middle and then put something in the middle. Whether on one dish, I'm going to do the squash and the zucchini, and then the other one, I'm going to do the spinach. So, this is what gets me excited in the kitchen, that creativity. Forgive me if you mentioned previously, but do you live in Panama City? I do. I do live in Panama City. All right. And I wanted to talk about something today. Because, I stopped doing the live on Saturday. It was just too much. Sister was getting tired. And you know what? I'm retired like everybody else. I don't need to be doing all this stuff. And then with YouTube, the ROI is not that great. YouTube doesn't pay me enough to be doing that much work. So I want to be able to talk to you guys, share, but within limits, right? We don't want to overdo it. So I wanted to talk about the, I talked a little bit about it, the scamming that is happening here. And it was funny, when I did that video about the guy trying to scam the lady at the fish market, some locals say, what do you think? You think they're just scamming you? They're trying to scam us too. And I'm like, how do you try to scam your own people? That makes no sense to me. None whatsoever. Okay, let's see where I'm going to put the chicken in. So, you don't do that. But apparently they do. They try. And then one of them said, you need to tell him something in Spanish about, I know what you're doing, and they'll pull back. And I'm like, oh, no bueno, don't do that. So, after that incident, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go back to that fish market. I love the fish market, right? And I was trying to find another place that could be as good, that I could find the same, and then the same quality and variety, because the fish market here is right along on the shore, so the fish comes from the ocean, so fresh, and I like that, right? So let me tell you though, I tried to find a place that was just as good. Most people probably come to the fish market to buy and then go to their places and resell it. So I was like, this is not gonna work. So after several weeks, thank you, I'm coming to Panama on Tuesday. Yay, welcome for a retirement relocation tour. Okay, I'm looking at suitable places to relocate to from Canada. Lots of Canadians here. You seem very happy where you are. Seems like it's a good place. It is, and you're gonna find your people here. A lot of them are here from Canada. And so I did not find a place that was suitable or, but the same type of place. So I said, okay, I'm gonna, swallow my whatever and go back. All right, so I'm gonna butterfly this, and I'm gonna cut it midway in the middle and then open it. That's what you call, when you say you butterfly the meat, right? You flatten it. But then what you need to do is to cover it with like a film and then beat it so it will be nice and even. But I don't have a mallet. Okay, so what is Sister Maggie gonna do? Because I don't have a mallet, and I went to the store this morning trying to find another clear big one, but they only had like a small one. So I think I'm gonna try to go to Discovery Center here, which is like a mega Walmart and Lowe's rolled into one. So I'm gonna go there, and I'm sure I'm gonna find a bigger size. Like when you're buying foil and stuff, you don't wanna buy the little thing. I'm used to Sam's Club, and because I wasn't a member of Costco, but it's the same thing. And because I did not renew my membership with PriceSmart here. PriceSmart is the Costco and Sam's of Panama. Because the first year I came, I joined, and then the next year they increased it, and I'm like, I don't buy that much stuff anymore. Just like I did not renew, after a while, I did not renew my membership in Sam, but it wasn't worth it to me. All right, so I'm using my small cast iron. Listen, you have to improvise, right? I'm doing what I can to give me the same results. But you know, I don't want that big piece of chicken on a plate, so I'm going to cut them in half. But that's my weapon. You know, when I was coming to Panama the last time when I was coming to stay, I had my big cast iron, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not leaving that one. I'm bringing it with me. This. So I said, I am bringing my cast iron, but it's so heavy. I said, I am not going to put it in my suitcase. So I put it in my, I'm cutting this in two. All right, so that would be beautiful like that. So I put it in my carry-on. Of course, you know, they pulled it out. It's like, I'm like, oh no. And then the guy took it out, and then he was holding it. And I'm like, it's not a weapon, it's not a weapon. I'm like, please don't keep it, please don't take it. Because I brought some Comet. They kept it, and you know, they were like wiping it with their reagent, you know, trying to see if it was drugged, and oh my God, whew, that was a nightmare. And then he's like, no, I don't think we can let you pass with that. I'm like, okay, you can keep it. Because here, there is no Comet. They have airbags. And I'm a Comet kind of girl. So I'm gonna do a video about the things you need to expect not to find in Panama. That takes getting used to, because there are a lot of things that, you know, we kind of learn to live without. All right, let's see. Let's butterfly this one. Open it. Yes. Así se hace. All right, again. And now I'm going to have to wash my board again. Ugh. All right, let's flatten it. I'm thinking on one of them, I might have to make a little quinoa. I'm still not clear as to how I'm going to plate that second one. Yep. Lo tenemos. Who says you have to have a mallet? Thank you, Monica. Monica brought me this. All right, so now we're gonna cut it. Yep, I think that is a nice piece of chicken to put on a plate. See? Eso. Oh, this one, I'm gonna make 3 out of this one. How about that? So I will have some to eat tomorrow. Maybe. Sometimes they don't make it till tomorrow. All right. So now we're going to be washing with hot soap and water. Wash my hands, the knife, everything. This is where you don't cross-contaminate. Chicken, wash. Soap and water. Don't do anything else until you do that. Vámonos. And the plate. These are the things you put underneath your board so the board doesn't move. You find them in the, I think in the home goods section, home section. Yes. Whew. All right. All right. Now we can have the rest of our stuff on this board. All right. Do not skimp on that. Okay, so now we're going to, I'm just going to wash my chicken with a bit of vinegar, lemon. I'm going to try not to touch it because I don't want to mess up my hands again. Okay, I'm going to use tongs. Oh, where are the tongs? And I went to the store this morning and I bought a whole gallon of vinagre, which is vinegar. Vinagre. Vinagre blanco, white vinegar. The adjective goes after the noun. Right, Greta? Vinagre blanco. You know, in English, the adjective goes in front of the noun. ¿No es lo mismo en español? Nope. La semana pasada. Okay. So, I'm going to rinse that, and I'm going to season it a little bit. Alright. And of course, the recipe calls for salt and pepper. Well, you know, we're not only going to do salt and pepper here. Vinegar is good for everything. Yes, your flour. Put it in your water. Yes, of course. So, un poquito de aceite. Aceite is oil. See? And vinagre. Now, this is too big. I have a little bit of apple cider vinegar here. I'm going to put a little bit of it because I put that in my smoothie. The apple cider vinegar. It really is good. Good stuff. All right? Now, Julie, if you're watching, there's another thing I was thinking. This is pepper. If you could bring with you is phyllo. You know the phyllo spice to make the gumbo? They don't have that here. They don't. And they probably have it somewhere. But it's just like you have to go here, 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 here. It's too much. All right, so I have a little bit of sage, dried. So I'm gonna put a little bit of that. Of course, your chicken breast does not need a whole lot of seasoning, right? But I am gonna put the thing that I like. Cumin, un poquitito. Adobo, you know, that's the main one that I use. And it does have a little bit of salt, so keep that in mind. I am, for me, adding a little bit of red crushed pepper. So if you don't like any kind of heat, you can skip that. But I like that. And I think I'm going to cut a little bit of fresh ají chumbo, which is hot peppers. Curry, no, I don't need that today. Herb de Provence that my friend bought me, yes. So this that. Yes. Herb de Provence, which is a French mixture of herbs. You can't go wrong with that, right? And chicken goes well with marjoram. I'm gonna put a little bit of that. I need to find a bigger, because I like this spice. This herb, it's an herb. Marjoram, mejorana. Mejorana. I don't think I have seen any Panamanian recipe that uses that. The only herb they like here is oregano. Oregano in everything, okay? And I'm gonna put a little bit of finas hierbas, fine herbs, which is a mix also. Okay, a little bit of Worcestershire. I like Worcestershire sauce. Un poquitito. I just discovered sriracha here. I was so surprised. I like a little bit of sriracha. It just kind of just balances everything. And I love sesame oil. Sesame oil has like a nutty flavor. So you just put just a few little drops. You don't have to just be cooking Asian to use a little bit of that. So I've had this like for a long time. So I don't use a whole lot of it. So that, and of course the regular garlic, onion, pepper. I have a little bit of, I bought romero, rosemary, and perejil italiano, Italian parsley. Yes, because the recipe that I'm making calls for it. Instead of cilantro, the French don't use cilantro, they use a lot of thyme and parsley. Remember, you roll your lime or lemon to release the juice a little bit. And there was no lemon anywhere in that store today. But of course, when you go to a store at 7 o'clock in the morning, I mean, what do you expect? Nothing had been, restocked. That was the problem there. Okay? And then garlic, definitely. Now remember, I'm not going to be able to taste this to see if the spice is good because it's raw chicken. No bueno. Don't taste it. All right. I think 2 cloves is plenty. Remember, the breast does not need like major spices. It's very mild. And then when you're cooking like regular chicken, you want to season and marinate overnight, you don't need to do that. Chicken is almost like fish, chicken breast, because it just absorbs spices so fast that you don't need to. All right. Vamos. And then what I'm going to have left is going to be fresh thyme and a little bit of parsley, not too much. Actually, I need to do dry parsley for this and save the fresh parsley for the batter. Yes. All right, so when I started, I had to go back to the fish market. And then I got into an entrance. It's just spread out, right? There are multiple entrances, but the main floor, that's where you find the majority, of fresh tuna and stuff like that. But on the outskirts, like outside the main, that's where they have the most affordable type of fish. And you see a lot of locals go there. So I got into that entrance, and the first thing I saw, I was looking for shrimp for last week. It was a big thing of good-looking shrimp, and I'm like, yeah, I don't need to go into the main room, which is where the scammers were. So I sat there, and I got the shrimp, and yes, I had to clean it, but it was only $3 a pound, whereas inside they probably would have, quoted me more. And then there was, and then he had like corvina fillet, and I'm like, how much? I forgot what he said. I'm like, give me that. And then that one stop, and I was done. I did not have to go in there. Please hit the like button. I didn't have to go in there, and I was like, good, because I didn't want to have to fix my face when I look at that guy. Because I was going to fix my face to say, I'm not going to stop with you. No. But anyway, so that worked out. So I'm saying if I ever have to go back, I'm staying outside of the main. And then, then I still get my fresh fish because one of the places that I found I could get fish, I'm sure it was frozen and thawed out. I was gonna have to take a long bus ride, and you wanna go get fish and then carry that with you on a bus? No bueno. I was like, nah, I can't do that. I mean, I love fish, but I don't want to be carrying it around. No. All right, so a little bit of rosemary. Take your time and season your food. That's the play time. You see, this is where you play. And I'm looking for dry parsley. See, perejil, dry. Okay, and what else do I need? Garlic. Oh, thyme. Fresh thyme. You have to have fresh thyme, of course. But of course. And today I saw a Grey Poupon. Oh, I was gonna get it and I realized I have 2 things of mustard in my fridge. Like, no, you don't need it. You can buy these things just like you buy gadgets in your kitchen, for your kitchen, because you're like, oh, that. And I don't want to have a bunch of prepackaged stuff in my kitchen. Okay, that's enough. Again, because of the type of chicken I'm cooking, I'm going light. If I was doing wings and legs and stuff, yeah, I would go full blast with the spices. So when you're cooking chicken, make sure you have fresh thyme, fresh parsley, fresh garlic. Oh, yes, and when you bite into your food and it tastes amazing, you're gonna say, it was worth the time that I took to do that. So I think the only thing I want to put in mine again is a little bit of hot pepper. Yes, we must season the food properly. Yes, ma'am. So I'm like, now I can either do that or I have a jalapeno, but I think I may leave the jalapeno for decoration. But this is a hot pepper. It's not, like, what do you call them, ghost peppers. It's not that. It's called ají chumbo. And people say this is a hot pepper here in Panama. Somebody said one of the chefs said it is Scotch bonnet. I don't know. I don't think it's as hot as Scotch bonnet, but I don't need hot. I don't want to have my eyes water. No. This is, for me, it's just about flavoring. It balances everything out so it's not hot. Because I can enjoy my food. It is super hot. I can't. Because I'm so focused on getting rid of the heat that, But I think, okay, let me see, a little bit of dark soy, and you see, poquitito. And then just a pinch of sea salt, just a pinch. All right. So, we're going to season our chicken breast and let it sit here for a second. It's gonna marinate, and then again, it's just like fish, 10-15 minutes and you're good to go. All right? Happy Mother's Day, everyone. You know what I said today? I was talking to a sister, and then we were reminiscing of everything that's happening at home, and we're like, I made the statement, I said, I'm realizing now that the majority of decisions and things that are happening around the world is really based on a deep dislike of women, of women. And then my sister said, no, it's not a dislike, it's pure hatred. But when you look at it, the things that we had to fight for, after everything that we go through as women, the abuse, the sexual assault, and then ultimately losing your life by the hand of someone who loves you, And this is why whenever I see somebody, you know, I was sitting in the metro station today and there was a couple there, oh, lovey-dovey. And of course my mind goes to, I hope you don't become one of those statistics. It's so sad. I find myself thinking along those lines. And, you know, I remember watching a movie in a particular culture where women just have absolutely no standing. And there was, the lady had a 9-year-old, and the 9-year-old was just ordering her around. And I'm thinking, the child that I carried for 9 months, that I pushed through labor, would, but that is what happens. So how do you take women? You wouldn't be around if it wasn't for a woman. But yet, you feel entitled to abuse her, to control everything she does, who she marries, who she can be friends with, who she can talk to, because you know that control is one of the hallmark of an abusive relationship. It's a man who wants to control you. That who you talking to, where you going. You don't have a right. We'll isolate you. I'll take care of you. You don't need to work because you are nothing without me. How do you encapsulate all this misogyny? I don't get it. And remember, we were talking one day, and I said the people who are the serial killers, and yes, somebody said Ted Bundy. Yes, if you read about this guy, his relationship with his mother was complex and very young, whether they got to bond or not, that kind of frames their mind about women in general. And then because you have this very fine line between sanity and insanity, which is what I say, some people are on the edge, and it doesn't take a lot to get them to just flip in the mindset. You know, last week they had another multiple, killing of a man, I think in Texas, who had a restaurant, and I don't know whether his business was going bad or not a reason, unalived his whole family, his wife and 2 young kids. What gives anybody the right to just take, and of course for me, in addition to the hatred of women, is a total disregard for human life. And this is where I start. Before you say anything, do you see a human being as someone with value? What gives you the right to take their life? If you don't have that premise to say this is a human being, and that's where racism, all of this starts, because you don't see someone else as having value. Therefore, your sick mind creates that only I deserve to be here. Nobody else does. Listen, ladies and gents, check yourselves. So you may be coming from a very dysfunctional background, but you have to get to a point to say, oh, that's what's happening here. I'm veering over here. But if you just kind of take it all in and you're fitting into it, yeah. Yeah. So I don't get it. That if a woman says, I don't want to be with you anymore, I want to end it. And in your sick mind, you're like, well, if I can't have you, nobody else can. If you don't stay with me, you can stay with nobody else. You're nothing without me. I'd rather take you out. Yeah, crazy. You are nuts. That's why I tell people, leave those folks alone. Leave them alone. So when that man says to me, oh, you're just saying that because nobody's talking to you? Yes, please, don't talk to me. I want you to talk to me. I have no room in my life for confusion, catering to somebody's fragile ego. I'm not going to be training anybody at my age. Been there, done that. Not doing anymore. I refuse. Some of us go through so much to bring children into this world. And then that's how they repay us. Some kids take your life. The child that you bore. You know, some kids, the pregnancy just about take you out. Right? So being a mother is something sacred if you were to look at it. Because I remember when I was pregnant, I was in so much awe of the whole physiology, biology of it all. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, on one of my pan, I'm going to roast them, you just dice them. And then in another pan, I am going to slice them because I have in my mind an idea. I'm going to make a circle on top of the quinoa and then put the chicken. Anyway, it's developing in my head. All right, I bought these two little cutie things at a store here, and they got discolored, but listen, they're my ride or die. So don't worry about them, what they look like. After they've been in the oven, they kind of look a little bit weird. Hopefully my beets, probably an hour they've been in there, so hopefully that will work. All right? So yeah, motherhood is a sacred thing that, and of course, you know, we have all kinds of mothers. Some mothers shouldn't be mothers. We all know that. Some people shouldn't have children. We know that too. And a lot of us were not trained, prepared to be mothers, right? There was no manual that came with it. So we learned from the environment that we grew up in, right? Now, the environment could have been good or bad, right? But we have to understand that we are a product of the environment that we grew up in. But, there's always a but. Don't carry that as a reason for your behavior today. Come on. We all had to grow up sometime and realize and look around and say, you know what? This was not good. I don't want to raise my kids the way I was raised. Now, I understand that sometimes you need a little help for you to come to that point where you realize that. Not everybody can come to that conclusion, don't have the maturity to say, okay, this is not good. But you're like, oh, well, that's the environment I was raised in. That's dangerous because you're going to continue the same cycle. But if you say, this was not good, let me get some help and see why this happened to me and how I can change course, because that's what you need to do. But all that is easier said than done. It takes maturity, it takes intuition, and it's an act of the will. You have to decide that you want to make a change. Some people are afraid of change. Some people have not been taught how to make decisions for themselves. That's why it gets really muddy. So you tend to do to your children what they had done to you because you don't know any better, right? But if you have an aha moment, remember, I got my aha moment late in life, which is the problem with a lot of us. Some of us never got the aha moment. Okay, let me see. I'm going to cut this in half because I don't want the slices to be too thick. All right, I can do this. Okay. Yeah. It's so, we're playing. Heck, please. But let me tell you, ladies, this is a confusing, what what I'm talking about is it's not easy. It's not easy. And that's why our societies, communities are in such a mess, right? You have women becoming mothers who have no business being mothers because no one taught them what motherhood really is. So I remember where I was living in Florida. We had these girls who were parading themselves with 4 or 5 little babies on their hips. They didn't finish high school, they had no education, and they were all on food stamps. And on Fridays, when I go to the fish market to buy something, they were all there with their hair, their nails, oblivious. So what kind of mother is this person going to be to their children? It's a vicious cycle, guys. And then you get the ones pointing the finger at the children of those children who turn out all messed up, drug dealers, not learning in school, assaulting teachers. What do you expect? What do you expect? These children, okay, I'm gonna cut this one also in half. I think I'm gonna stick to the 4, and that should be enough. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Que bonito, mírame. Uh-huh. So we're gonna have 4, so I'm gonna use those, make like a circle on my, yes, 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 yes. Okay, and then this one, I'm just gonna roast them so that I can make my puree. I could boil it, but it tastes better roasted. Yes, it does. Trust me on this. Now, I absolutely adore squash, you know that. So this is where it says it takes a village, or the older women teach the younger women. Well, I don't know about you. These younger women that I was talking about, they didn't want to hear from me. Do they listen to you? Mm-mm. You couldn't tell them nothing. You could not. Because the more babies they got, the more money they got. Of course, now they kind of tighten the screws. They can't do that, I don't think. But it's a vicious cycle. And then, of course, our societies, you know, my personal opinion is that some of these things are made, and that's exactly what they want, for us to live in dysfunction and give birth to these children who they go and plan to build the prisons for. Hey, yes. So this is where you have to have the aha moment to say, wait a minute, that's what's going on here. You can't live your life going through life in oblivion. And today, with what's happening, you cannot afford that. And I have a daughter who she's like 30 now, 30 something. I can't even remember, 30 what. But she and I, we have this conversation. She's an old soul. She's like her mother. And she's like, I like having these conversations with you, Mom. I say, yeah. So whatever you're thinking, you try to give your kids a heads up so they don't have to wait until they're in their 50s like I did to say, oh, that's what's going on here. No, 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 no. There is no value in going around oblivious. No. All right? Yes, ¿cómo estás? Yeah, ladies and gents, don't forget to hit the like button, guys. But you cannot go around oblivious. No, you can't. So that if you can talk, like if I talk to my daughter, I'll say, okay, maybe this one will get it, and she would, you know, change course and not become a statistic, which is what they want, right? Being a mother, in addition to giving birth, nurturing children, you know, the research that if a kid is separated from his mother, a baby, in the early in infancy, you know, which is 0 to 1 year. If that kid doesn't get to be, you know, on, you know, now they're putting the babies on their, you know, flesh to flesh with their mom, because that is something that is important to human being. You have to connect, and you have to feel that unconditional love. You have to feel the nurturing. And again, these kids, these young moms don't understand that. I remember my daughter being in the hospital with the RSV virus one time. I have a picture of Raphael. You know, I was in the hospital all the time with her, right? And she was like this big, and they had these little gowns, and they put an IV in her. And I remember one time somebody said, "You need to go home and change clothes, you take a shower." So I left. As soon as I got to the house, I said, "Oh, Miss Lazar, the baby is crying." I was like, "Okay, I'll be back. So I'm walking down, and here's Raphael, my little, I think she was two and a half, in her cute little gown, standing at the door with the IV tube being stretched, and she's sitting at the door, waiting on her mom. Right? You want your kid to develop that sense of closeness. That's important. That is important. Happy Mother's Day, Maria. Yes. So you got to give the babies the time. And I used to tell, you know, lately tell young mothers, don't be in a rush to go back to work. You need to kind of stay and, you know, nurture your baby. They need that. They need that. Okay. You know, I only have one left, and I don't want to keep that, so I'm going to do this like in the half and put it in the other pan. And I can always have that. If I don't use all of it, it will be here for me to use. Oh, you know, when I make my next order, I'm definitely going to order more squash. Calabaza squash. Ooh, I love it. So being a mother is a sacred thing. And some people choose not to be mothers. And I got nothing to say about that, right? This is a right that you have, it's your body. If you feel that because of cost, or you didn't like your mother and you don't want to be a mother, I think it's best that you don't. I really do. But I also know that these children will try you. Woo! Jesus. Like I tell people, I'm a survivor. like a lot of those children. And you know, sometimes I sit and I say, would you do it again if you had to? And I'm like, no. Mm-mm. That was hard. That was hard. Okay, so, vamos. Little oil. You know, I meant to make some herb oil. I haven't had some herb oil in a few weeks now. You know, I get lazy, I'm telling you. All right. So, pepper. I think I already mentioned to Julie about the phyllo. Yeah, we don't have that here. Herb de Provence, I saw once at Rita Smith. They don't have Lorry's salt, but this sister gave me this that is like a Lorry's salt, seasoning salt. I have to see if it's got MSG. Paprika, turmeric, something dextrose, monosodium glutamate. Oh, that's it. No bueno. I don't use that stuff. You know, like complete seasoning, yes, it's got MSG too. I'm not using anything that has that. But of course, as I said, I don't believe whatever they put on these things. What is on the menu, Maggie? I am making chicken francaise, which is mean French style chicken or chicken breast. And then I am just playing with what I'm gonna put with it. So I'm making squash puree and squash wedges. And I'm gonna cook a little bit of quinoa. I was gonna buy some red quinoa today. It was like almost $5 and no. You know what I was thinking also? I said, I think I wanna try baking, right? And I'm trying to stay away from wheat. So I said, I'm gonna try, oh, that's another thing someone can bring me. Almond flour, which is probably gonna be expensive over there too. So I went to in the store, 1 pound of almond flour was $12.95. It's like, I don't need almond flour. I'm not paying that. All right, let's put a little oregano here. I think that would be good for this squash. That's gonna cook really fast. Now the chicken francaise is a butterfly chicken breast, but it's also the batter. We're gonna put Parmesan cheese. That's what makes it French. Francaise. You know I like all things French because I'm part French, so that's why, you know, I was raised speaking French. All right. Espero que esté bien. Yeah, you move it around, make sure it's coated in that little bit of oil, right? So those are gonna go in. In the meantime, I am going to look to see where my beets are. If they, whew. I have a daddy and a baby here. The baby, oh, it's almost, not quite. So it needs to stay in there. All right, so we're gonna put this one in. That's not gonna take a long time. So we're gonna put both in here. And the other one, again, those are gonna be roasted and then mashed and pureed with a little bit of cream. I still have some cream in the fridge, which, you know, of course I'm not using a lot because that's too much fat for me. All right, estamos, let's see, put a little bit more spices, dry spices, yeah. See. All right, it goes in. So I'm thinking 10-15 minutes. In the meantime, let me cook just a little bit of quinoa, no mucho. Solamente un poquito, okay? I'm gonna do a little bit of my, put a little bit of the veggie broth in it. All right. Okay, so not too much. Ooh. Actually, I think that's a lot of water. I just want a little bit to just do a little mound. Okay, and then we're gonna work on the batter and the chicken. So for that, we put a little bit of salt, un poquito, y aceite. All right, and I think I have a little bit of white quinoa. Yes. All right. And that's going to be done just about the same time as the squash. Okay. So let's do the batter for the chicken. So for the batter, we're going to crack 2 eggs. So I buy a tray of 30 eggs, and I like that because then I don't have to worry about, do I have any eggs? And you know, eggs are affordable here in Panama. Are the prices better in the States? I eat squash almost every day. I absolutely love it. Yes, Maria. Okay. Esto, and, ooh, I don't think it says you put milk in this one. Nope. Crack the eggs. Season eggs with salt and water. Salt and water. Salt and pepper. So because I seasoned the chicken, I don't have to put seasoning too much in here in the batter because I think I have enough. All right. And we're gonna put some parsley, chopped parsley. We already put some rosemary in the seasoning, so we don't have to put any of that in there. All right. And then we're going to grate the Parmesan cheese in the batter. Oh, the grater, that's what I'm looking for. You know how you walk into a room and you're like, what did I come in here for? Well, that happens when I open the fridge and I'm like, what am I looking for again? And just when I'm about to close the door to say, okay, will come to me, then it comes to me. Oh my God. Listen, growing old is no joke. Ay, Dios mío. All right, let's chop this. You know, it's like you want to chiffonade it. Now you have got to chop it really fine, so don't be in a rush. Don't you love when you see, what is the guy in New York? Bobby Flay. I like watching him chop the onions. But you know what? I keep saying, why can't I be like these guys? I mean, he's got so many restaurants, and I don't think he does so many incredible things. But, you know, he put in his time to be, you know, a good cook, and he worked his way. So we are putting our batter. Now, this is the key ingredient. You see, this is how we get Parmesan cheese. You can also get the one that we buy in the States, right? But those cheese is expensive here in Panama. But I like to buy these because I like to grate my cheese. I don't like it to come in a container. And this is $2.86. Just a little wedge. And I don't usually have cheese like that sitting around in my fridge. Like, I don't buy cheddar, you know, bags of it. I don't put cheese in eggs and stuff. So, this is the key in this recipe, is the Parmesan cheese. Parmigiana Reggiana, when you're watching these Italian chefs. And they show you, you go to Italy, how they age the cheese. Ooh. Now see, I want to do, if I ever go back to Europe, which I'm not planning on, but if I ever go, it's going to be to do like a food tour. You know, like I'd love to do a food tour of Sicily and Italy and watch how they do the fish and all that. But I know if you have a good marinara, everything is pretty much done. And I make a good marinara, if I say so myself. With the white wine, and we are going to use a little bit of white wine for our chicken. I love using wine with chicken. Gracias, may you have beautiful, okay. So, I think this is good for the batter. I don't know, I may have to put another egg in here because I have a lot more chicken. And let's see, yeah. I'm gonna put another egg. I'd rather have more than not enough, right? CCC. I'm gonna put a bit more pepper. And like I said, I think my chicken is nicely seasoned. So I'm not gonna go with, ooh. Okay, let's leave that here. And, I'm gonna have to wrap this cheese. The next Fridays at Maggie's, I'm thinking we're gonna do Italian. So I have some ground beef left over from the last party. So I'm gonna make some meatballs, make a huge thing of marinara. And then I was thinking maybe like a vegetable lasagna and yeah, if I do meatballs, I'm doing vegetable lasagna. Yeah, that would be good. Okay. Next, before we do the chicken, I already washed the squash. Let's just use the squash and cook it. Really easy peasy. Because it's getting soft and I don't want to for it to go bad. No bueno. I am not going to allow my food to go to waste. Nope. I'm gonna cook it and then yeah, how would I leave this beautiful thing to go bad? I would be upset with myself. Yes. And then of course, I don't have to use all of it. I'm gonna keep it and then use it. And I have chayote in the fridge that I need to use. Yes. So that's not gonna take a long time to cook. So we're gonna do a little bit of oil. And I always like to add a little bit of butter. No mucho. But if you're vegan, you don't have to do it. If it makes you feel guilty about the animals, you can do that. That's a little bit of garlic that was left over. Not left over, but that was what was in the stock. All right, the couscous, not couscous, the quinoa is almost done. I think I need a little bit more of the garlic. All right, so now we're going to cover our quinoa and let it cook. You see how fast it cooked? So we're gonna get you down to 3. All right, estamos. You know, garlic is like bacon. It makes everything taste better. So don't be stingy. I know some people say, I don't like the strong taste of garlic. Okay, I get it. I get it. All right. That's gonna cook really fast. And the moment the garlic is fragrant, it's ready, right? All right, 5 minutes for the squash. Whoa. All right, so now we're going to put our squash in so we don't lose any of this beauty. I refuse. You know, I could have sliced them instead, but anyway. I think I like the squash slice. Don't know what I was thinking, but whatever. What we don't want is to lose our veggies. Oh, I get upset. You know, if I look, you know, like when you buy broccoli, if you don't use it, after a while, it just goes yellow on you, and there's nothing you can do with that. And then if you leave your broccoli in the fridge and it's spoiled, remember the smell? How it smells? Oh, no bueno. So this one here is just going to be a little bit of salt, pepper, and a little bit of green, you know, like green parsley, and a splash of lime juice, and you're good to go, sis. So as soon as I put it in here, I'm going to move it to another burner. And then proceed to our chicken. I just wanted to be sure we had things that we could use. Alright, so we're going to move it to the back. Take it to the back. Take it to the back. Now I'm putting a little bit of my veggie broth in here. Un poquitito. Alright, salt and pepper. Turn that burner on so we can put it in the back. Yeah, your veggies don't need a whole lot. I'm putting a little bit of adobo, but you don't have to. If you don't have it, and of course some herbs. You can't ever go wrong with herbs. Parsley or oregano, no importa. No importa. And see, it's already softening. And if you know me, you know I don't like my veggies to be overcooked. So I always like them to have a little bite. All right, let's put some oregano in here and a squeeze of lime juice. And that should do it. Oh, and some fresh parsley. You know, I was telling you that I was listening, you know, so many things on social media these days. And then they were like, oh, this miracle herb doing this, doing that. And I'm like, oh, is there another herb that I haven't heard of? What is it? Which is it? And they lead you on and on and on. And she's like, oregano. And I'm like, oh my God. Come on. All right, lime juice. Stop deceiving people. So they have oregano oil. Now I know I use rosemary in my hair. I make rosemary oil. But then I went to the store the other day and they were selling a set of shampoo and conditioner with romero. Rosemary. And I'm like, okay. So I bought it. And that was the one thing. It was, ooh, I don't know what the size was, but a nice size of shampoo and conditioner, and it was $6.99. So that was a good buy. But today, Whew, I went to the store and I'm like, wow, things are becoming expensive. And that's why I end up going to America Panama, because some of the veggies are expensive. I was looking for Roma tomatoes. They had a little pack with maybe 6 tomatoes, and it was about almost $4. And I'm like, what? And we used to have the vendors on the side of the road that would give you a whole bag for $1. Well, now they got rid of them. They had them moved. Oh, look at that. Use herb in your food, ladies. Use herb. Look at that. How pretty. Huh? Que bonito. Yes. All right. Oh, wow. Beautiful. All right. So, I'm going to leave that there. Turn it down. And we're going to get our chicken. I'm using this cast iron today. Because I think they do better than the big cast iron. The cast iron, the big one, does not heat up the same way. So yeah, our veggies are good. The couscous is almost done. Ooh, potatoes, not potatoes, squash. Look how pretty. Ooh, ooh. It's that you see how it's already heating too fast. Ale, eso. Ouch. All right, let's see. Now this is the one that I'm going to use whole. I'm gonna flip it. Oh yes. Don't break. Don't break. Okay. All right, this one I need to leave it out. Yes. But this one, because I'm gonna blend it, it can stay in for a little bit. Just turn the heat down. All right. So this one we have to use olive oil. I'm not using the sunflower oil. Okay. And the other thing I need here, of course, a little bit of butter, mantequilla, mantequilla. You know what I don't have here in front of me is a little bit of flour, harina. And I'm not gonna have a lot. And because everything is already seasoned, we are not going to. So, our chicken should be nice and yummy. So we're gonna get our chicken in the batter and in the flour. And let's put it here. Yeah, it is. Woo. Okay, of course I don't want too much of a, you know, flour batter. Yes. Well, you know, maybe I didn't need that extra egg. I'm always afraid I'm not gonna have enough, and then I always end up with more than I need. Crazy. All right. So let's, ooh, it smells so good already. The Parmesan is the key. All right. Let's see. Let's check our beets again. Ooh, it smells so good. Yep, it's good. So what I'm gonna put this in the freezer real quick so it can kind of lower the temperature, because I'm gonna have to cut it and peel it, and this is hot. All right. So, all right. So in the meantime, we can get our puree going. Which is, so you can do a mash, which is just, you just mash the the squash, right? Or you could use the hand mixer, add a little, just a little cream to this, and puree it. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Wow. But in order for me to puree it, I need to put it in something a little deep. Oh, that would be this one. I was able to find garbanzo beans at the place that delivers for me. I was so excited because sometimes I have a hard time finding it here. Yeah. All right. Here we go. Put it in here. Ooh, that's gonna be so good. Oh yeah. Wow. You know, I'm gonna have to taste it to make sure. And of course it tastes good. I know it does. Of course it is good. So Maria, this is another way you could eat your squash. All right. Okay. I think this was the right dish to use for my chicken. Perfecto. Entonces, so now we're just gonna put a little cream in here, and I'm gonna whip it, and it's all ready. Poquito de crema. I don't know why I bought this whole thing. I don't use cream that much. So now I have a bunch of it. But you don't have to. You can even leave this out. But because, oh, I don't think my cord is gonna reach this far. One issue we have in Panama is you have a kitchen and it's got one outlet. I'm having T-bone and pink salt for my mother's. Ooh, yum. In the air fryer for 20 minutes. One dirty dish. I hear you, sis. I hear you. Well, I don't eat T-bone like that, so that leaves me out. All right, so, whoa. Let's turn the baby over. And then we're going to deglaze with some white wine and make like a little sauce to put over the chicken, because of course you don't want your food to be all right. We got our pureed squash. Yes. Ooh. Yum. Yes. Our veggies are good. Turn that off. Okay. Quinoa is done. Yeah, I think that's just about right. Don't need a whole lot. All the grains are open because you always want the kernels to open. Turn that off. And there's only salt and pepper in this one. Okay. So that seasoned salt is going in the trash. We are not using that. And then I'm going to take some spinach leaves, get them ready to just toss in the pan just for like a minute so we can have some green. What green? We need green, right? So you can buy a pack of spinach like that for like $1 or something. But if you want the one that you're used to, right, then it's gonna cost you like $3. If you want a small pack of arugula, that's about $5. Whew. I'm telling you. Now there's a place here called Central Avenue, where they have lots of vendors. And you can find some stuff a little cheaper. Not the best quality, but some people like to go there for the price. And me, I'd rather pay a little bit more, but have the quality. But not everybody feels the same, right? All right, the last batch of chicken. Oh, we only had 2 pieces left. Okay. Ooh, that's a big one. Ooh, where is the flour? Oh. And that. Yep. We certainly didn't need the extra egg. I didn't. I always do that. Thinking that the batter, we're gonna need more of the batter. All right, so that goes in the trash. All right. Okay, what's happening with this? All right, that fancy stove is talking to me again. So I have to go reset it on that panel. You know, sometimes I wonder if what happened to this, when the guy installed this electric range, he said, oh, sometimes if it just goes off, you have to go to the panel and reset it. And I'm like, why? There's something you're doing that is not correct. Well, this is the first time it just, with the light on, it just wasn't working. As soon as you reset it, it starts up again. Don't ask me why. I don't know. Wow, this got a lot of stem. But I just did the vegetable, so I don't need all the stems this time. All right. We're gonna start plating. And with the Now the beets, I like to just slice them or dice them and toss them in a little bit of olive oil, and that's it. All right, I think that's enough. So we got our squash, we have the rings, we have quinoa, we have greens. Let's bring the beets. Okay. Ooh. I tell you, this cast iron heats so fast. And that's the only way I eat beef. I always roast it. I don't eat it raw. I don't put it in smoothies because I'm always thinking that I need a little heat with it to kill whatever might be growing. Actually, maybe on one. Okay. Right? And then we're gonna small dice it. Whew. Yeah. And you gotta be careful. That's why I put it in the freezer, because beets get hot. And I don't like to put it down on the surface because it's gonna discolor my board. I can wash my hands. Or I can just leave on the foil. Yes, I can do it on the foil. Roasted beef are the best. Now you can put like feta cheese, and some people mix them with tofu, but you know, it bleeds into something else. So to me, it's better eating it by itself. And some people even put with like boiled eggs and stuff. It's like, too much. And of course, beets here in Panama, the only time I see them eat it is around the holidays when they make that red potato salad. Ensalada de papas, roja, red. You see the seam? It's still warm. So, right? And dice. And I can eat this all day. And of course, I go to the bathroom and I'm like, oh, am I bleeding? I forget that I've eaten beets. Oh, my goodness. Oh, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So we're going to put that on top of our chicken. Perfecto. So there's another way for you to eat your beets, to get all the goodness, the antioxidants. So good. All right. I got red hands. Okay. take the chicken out. It's almost like a chicken parmesan, except that you're not putting marinara on top of it. All right, I'm going to scrape this off because I'm going to use the same pan to make that quick wine sauce. Ooh. Don't burn me. Look, this is pretty much, you know, the egg batter. I don't want that. Okay. So, now we have that. I'm going to turn this up a little bit of olive oil. And I'm going to, 1 piece of garlic. Or 2. But remember, you can't ever have too much garlic. So pureed chicken, maybe veggies, and then beets, right? And then quinoa, squash, chicken, fragrant. There's nothing else in here. Oh, I didn't turn it off. All right. Whew, smells good. All right, we're deglazing with a little bit of wine. Glazing with wine is always a really good thing, and that's when you're scraping the bottom to get whatever flavor. And this was from the chicken marinade. I'm gonna put that in here as well. You know, this is one recipe. If I had some shallot, you know, shallot is more elegant than onion. I would put a little bit of shallot. I love shallot, but of course, I kind of stay away because it's pricey here. That's a no bueno. I mean, I like to cook, but I'm not paying an arm and a leg. I refuse to. I don't want to. Okay, because I have to keep in mind my budget. Okay, when you deglaze with wine, you want to let it evaporate, okay? So while it's doing that, I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in here. A squeeze of lime, and then maybe a little bit of herb, right? Ooh. Any pits in here. Yep. And remember that lemon is a great equalizer in terms of your flavor. So you always want to put, don't need no salt, pepper, maybe a little bit of finas hierbas, fine herbs. You know I love herbs, so but nothing else. We don't need to put anything else in this beautiful beets. Au naturel, right? Ooh, yes. Nothing else. All right. Almost. Need to evaporate. That's why when someone said, oh, can you do it after wine? It's like there is this notion that if you have a little bit of wine or alcohol, you're committing the, you know, cardinal sin. Come on, sis. We're grown. Don't let people put all that guilt on you. And a little bit of wine doesn't hurt anyone. Now, if you have a problem with alcoholism, I get it. Yes, you don't want to be near alcohol, right? And then here, I'm going to put a little bit of the broth, because we don't want a lot of sauce or gravy, right? We're just trying to get a flavor, something, a little sauce to put on top of the chicken, because, you know, I have this thing about dry food. I see people, especially in the whole food plant-based, you know, they boil this, and then they just put, I'm like, that's hard to eat. It's too dry. Yes, garlic is excellent. And then we're gonna put more, what's I'm looking for? Herbs, right? Now I'm going to need a little bit more acid. We got butter, and we're going to put a little bit of parsley. That's why I bought parsley today. This recipe called for a lot of parsley. Yeah, the French use that a lot. We already had thyme in the chicken batter, I mean the marinade, so we don't need to put any more. But the chicken, that little gravy needs quite a bit of parsley. Okay? Do that. And then butter. Yeah, the French eat butter, okay? So that's why when somebody says I'm making a vegan croissant, I get all out of sort. I'm like, it's not a croissant if it doesn't have butter in it. If you don't want to eat butter, call your thing something different, right? Like you say burger, hamburger. It's not hamburger. It's a burger patty made of whatever else you want to eat. All right. So now I might have to take this off the heat. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any liquid left to put on my chicken. Aquí vamos. Ooh, and even then, it's only a little bit. See, this is not really gravy. This is just a little bit of moisture to put on the chicken, so it's not dry. Okay. Mmm. Yum. Yes. Okay. A little bit of acid. And we plate it. Yes. Yeah. All right. Woohoo. I love playing. So I need to kind of taste the chicken to see what it tastes like. Oh my, yeah. All right. So let's plate. You know, a lot of the joy of cooking is plating, right? You know, one thing I need to do one last thing. You know I'm always cleaning, right? I just cannot tolerate a messy kitchen. No puedo. Alright. The last thing I don't want to forget is my spinach. Remember, I'm just going to toss this in really quick. Because we're going to need some green. Here we go. I was talking to a sister yesterday and I was telling her how much I do not like lettuce. Because I feel like lettuce is like a wasted, whatever it is, vegetable. You know, when you make a Caesar salad, you use a bunch of lettuce, and then you put a bunch of creamy, fatty dressing on it. What's the point? It's gonna make me stop. All right, squeezing a little bit left over, and we're good right there. I was washing this. We are done. Look at that. That's all you need. You want to keep the green, so you don't overcook your spinach. Eso. Yep. Take it off. Here we go. All right. Now we get to play. So the first one, and you know, I don't have a lot of gravy here. Let's see. Let's put a little bit of the stock. Because remember, it's not like putting regular water in your sauce. This is a flavored, that's why you should always have stock. You should always have stock in your, in your fridge. All right, so we're gonna start with the creamy, this is the squash, the creamy squash. Oh, so remember I'm telling you, now I'm into layering, right? Okay, so don't be upset. You see Maggie putting all kinds of things round in into my dish. Look at that. It is just perfect in terms of size. Que bueno. All right, and then I'm thinking if I put a piece of chicken, right? One piece of chicken, and I'm putting some sauce. Because remember, you don't want your food to be dry. Somebody shouldn't have to get some liquid so that they don't choke while they're eating your food. That's no bueno. Okay? And what else do you think I should put there? Maybe I'll put some beets over here and then some veggies over here and then top it with a little bit of spinach. How about that? What do you think? Maybe some beets on one side. That's what I'm thinking. That's how you get to play with your food, right? Play with your food. Ooh. Play with your food. Now this is where the creativity comes in, okay? That's the playing part. Yes, I see. And then, because you want everything to be balanced, right? And maybe I'll put some of this squash and zucchini mix over here. Because you know me, I'm eating healthy. So chicken is not unhealthy, right? You may say I am whole food plant-based, I'm not eating chicken, or I am vegan. You can do that. And then if you do the puree, just don't put a little bit of cream in there if it's upset your sensibilities. You could do whatever you want. Okay. And then finish it off with a splash of green in the middle. Woo-wee. Play with your food. Oh my God, that is so pretty. It is pretty. Oh. And you get a little bit of your sauce, gravy. Nothing is dry. Okay. Oh. Yeah. Mira qué bonito. Okay, I like that. Now last week, I think 2 weeks ago, I made the hummus. So we're gonna be making a lot more hummus dishes with the hummus. Maybe not always at the bottom, but maybe in the middle. Yeah, we can do that. Okay, so that's one. And then this one here, I am thinking with the quinoa, I'm gonna use the quinoa as a base. Yes. All right, we're not going to mound the quinoa this time. We're going to use the quinoa like we did the puree. But I don't want them all to look the same. So, okay. Let's move the quinoa to one side. I'm playing with my food. Okay. Bring the quinoa to the one side. And then make sure that your food stays off the edges, okay? That is a plating. I mean, in fact, when you look at the chefs on TV, they just put a little thing in the middle. And I'm like, where's the food? I'm hungry just looking at it. No, I don't believe in that. And that's why you go to those places and they say, well, we have a 13-course meal. I don't want to take that long time to eat. That's just too much. Okay. Oh, let's play with the... Okay, we have our wedges. All right, we are going to play with the wedges. Oh, one broke. All right, but that's okay. They're all going same place, right? And oh, okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, all right. Nah, I don't like that. I know what I want to do. I want to circle. Yes. I want to circle. Yeah, there we go. We want to circle. That's it. Circle. Circle. Yes. Okay. Okay, let's move that. Let's get another one. I think I did not want it to look like the first one, but maybe. All right. I don't like what I'm seeing here, so let's start over. Maybe we will. I know exactly what I'm going to do now. So it's not going to be a layer, but we're going to mold, yeah, we're going to mold the quinoa and then put the circle around it. I still get to play. Alright, so now I'm going to have to rinse the plate. It's okay to start over. Like in life, right? You try something, it didn't work, you brush yourself up and you get back up again. Try again, right? All right, so I guess you could call this our program now, food styling. Now, of course, we're not using little clips. Whatever, I keep forgetting what we use to put edible flowers. All right. Now, quinoa is not as flexible as rice. So sometimes you make the mold and it doesn't hold, right? Okay. So if it falls off, don't laugh at me. All right. Woohoo! It looks pretty. All right. So now we're gonna play with the squash. We're gonna go around. Yes. Really close. Now we're talking, right? Forget the visual. Yes. Ooh. Yep. That will do it. Ooh, I like that. I like that. Ooh. Okay. So now I thought, let's put some beads, maybe somewhere close to the wedges. Yes. Yep, that will do it. Yes. See, you get to play. You get to play. Yes, you get to play. All right. And the chicken. So we need a smaller piece this time that is not going to overshadow the quinoa. Sí. Y luego, our little sauce, so it's not dry. Nobody wants to eat dry food that you get a cough while you're eating it, right? And then we're gonna put the, we're not gonna use the veggies this time, but we're gonna put the rest of our spinach, but we're gonna make it like it's falling off on one side. So the tower is moving and falling to one side. Hey, yes, estamos. Yep, that is it. It's going to one side. And on top, I think we could put a slice of lemon, do we? No. No lemon. Maybe a twig of parsley if I can find one that's holding itself but not falling over. Okay. Like so. Oh my God, I tell you. It is. Look at that. I'm telling you, it's like a piece of art, the art of plating. Look at that. Woo-wee. Now, come on, guys. Mary, happy Mother's Day, Mary. Happy Mother's Day. Wish you could be here and I could come around and just carry it like that, which I'm always impressed when I see the waiters come with a big old thing and holding it over here. And I'm like, whoo, that takes skills. Look at that. You got quinoa in there. You have the chicken francaise. You have roasted beets. And you have the wedges of the squash. I told you, this is the only place I can be creative. I don't sing, I don't paint, I don't dance, I don't do anything else but cook. Look at that. All right, guys, thank you for hanging with me. I know it was a bit of a long one. I say that every time, but you can't rush perfection. Everything is made from scratch. It's nothing from a box. We create, we have fun, and we want to give God glory, thanks for where we are in our lives, that we still have breath and we can still create. Our mind is still working. I don't remember people's names or names of anything, but it comes to me the next day, so I'm still here. I'm looking at somebody, I'm like, what is her name? You know, I know who she is, but I can't think of the name. It comes later. So give the video a thumbs up. Thank you for hanging with me, and I will see you next week. Happy Mother's Day. I don't know what we're gonna cook next week. I'm still thinking the gumbo, and I thought I had some okra, but I don't have okra. It would be nice to have okra for the gumbo, but only seafood because I don't eat sausages. Chicken I could, but I think seafood is better. All right, guys. Yes, I'd like to offer some cooking classes, but it would have to be virtual. Would have to be virtual. You know, like I'm here and then everybody's at home trying to do the same thing because, you know, because of my visa here, I can't work. I did a couple of kind of semi-free classes here, but it didn't work out because people are not willing to pay for you to teach them something. And now, you know, I'm doing all this for free. But if you want basic cooking instructions or whatever, I could, but it would have to be virtual. All right, guys. Thank you so much. You have a good day. Happy Mother's Day. And I think I am going to get a glass of wine and drink that on my own. I'm sure the kids have said, Happy Mother's Day, Mom, but that's it. So, all right. And then we're going to celebrate Mother's Day here in Panama in December. December 8th. That's Mother's Day. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Thank you, guys. I love you all. Have a good day. Bye.